You are not broke because life is unfair. You are broke because your money obeys everyone except you. Your landlord gets paid first. Your bank gets paid first. Your subscriptions get paid first. Your impulses get paid first. And then you wonder why freedom never arrives. That is not bad luck. That is managed obedience. There is a hidden reason most unsupported men stay financially trapped. It is not because they lack ambition. It is not because they lack intelligence. It is because they treat money like a reward instead of a weapon. They spend to feel rich. They borrow to look stable. They work to survive. They save only after emotion has finished feeding. And the system understands this better than they do. This is not just philosophy. This is measurable. In April of 2026, United States revolving consumer credit stood at about $1.349 trillion. Credit card accounts assessed interest were above 21% annual percentage rate. The Federal Reserve also showed revolving credit increasing at a 10.4% annual rate that month. That is not just finance. That is a battlefield. And the unsupported man who does not understand this battlefield will not merely stay poor, he will stay owned. Money is not about looking rich. Money is about becoming harder to control. A man with no savings cannot say no. A man with debt cannot move freely. A man with no assets must keep selling his hours to people who may not respect him. A man with no plan becomes raw material for every plan around him. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality." Most men want the appearance of wealth before they build the reality of power. They buy the watch before they own the asset. They upgrade the car before they own their time. They chase the image before they control the structure. And because they confuse appearance with power, they become easy to harvest. The world sees their insecurity, packages it, prices it, and sells it back to them monthly. This is not a video about getting rich to impress people. That is childish. This is about 5 money rules every unsupported man must learn before the system owns him. Rule 1. Have a plan or become the plan. If you do not assign your money a mission, every company around you will assign it one. Your paycheck does not arrive in neutral territory. It enters a battlefield. Rent is waiting. Debt is waiting. Apps are waiting. Advertising is waiting. Food delivery is waiting. Status anxiety is waiting. Your own impulses are waiting. And if your money has no command structure, it will surrender to the strongest pressure in the room. The sharper question is not, how much money do you make? The sharper question is, who gives your money its orders? Because many men earn money. Few command it. They receive income, but they do not govern income. They are not rulers of their resources. They are temporary handlers of money passing through them on its way to stronger systems. Machiavelli wrote, "Prudence consists in recognizing trouble early. The financial version is simple. If you only notice the problem at the end of the month, you are already late. A ruler does not wait until the enemy reaches the wall. He studies the threat before it arrives. A man who has no financial plan is not spontaneous. He is exposed. Without a plan, your money becomes emotional. And emotional money is weak money. It spends when tired. It spends when lonely. It spends when angry. It spends when ashamed. It spends to imitate men it cannot yet compete with. It spends to purchase the feeling of progress without building any real power. This is why unsupported men often stay trapped. Not because they are stupid, because they let emotion rule the treasury. In Machiavellian terms, that is political collapse. A state that cannot control its treasury becomes dependent on creditors. A man who cannot control his income becomes dependent on employers, banks, landlords, and emergencies. He may still speak about freedom, But his bills know the truth. Look at the modern economy. Nothing around you is neutral. Streaming platforms do not want you disciplined. They want recurrence. Credit card companies do not want you sovereign. They want balances. Fast food apps do not want you controlled. They want convenience to defeat your standards. Social media does not want your attention free. It wants your attention monetized. Every system around you has a plan for your money before you even receive it. And if you do not have a stronger plan, you become the plan. This is the first humiliation of the unsupported man. He thinks he is making choices, but many of his choices were engineered before he touched the screen. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims." Do not misunderstand this. Machiavelli is not calling you stupid. He is revealing that immediate need makes men predictable. The hungry man can be moved. The lonely man can be sold to. The insecure man can be baited. The tired man can be weakened. The financially disorganized man can be harvested. The system does not need to hate you. It only needs to understand you better than you understand yourself. So rule one is simple. Before your money arrives, give it orders, not wishes. Orders. Every dollar must enter one of 4 territories: survival, escape, attack, defense. Survival is rent, food, transportation, insurance, and basic obligations. Escape is savings, investing, debt reduction, skill acquisition, and anything that increases future freedom. Attack is money used to build earning power. Tools, education, equipment, business assets. Better work capacity. Defense is emergency reserves, protection against chaos, and cash that keeps you from begging when life turns ugly. If money enters your account without being assigned, it will be captured by impulse, and impulse is the enemy's spy inside your own walls. You are not a victim because you have bills. Every man has obligations. The question is whether your obligations serve your rise or consume your rise. The unsupported man cannot afford casual money. He cannot afford vague spending. He cannot afford to treat income like emotional relief. He must become governor of his own treasury. Not because money is sacred, because freedom is expensive. Unassigned money becomes conquered money. If you are the man building without support, stop confusing consumption with progress. You already know the world will not rescue you, but your problem is that your system still leaves too much power in the hands of mood, impulse, and pressure. If you keep letting your weaker self vote on your future, you will keep earning money that never becomes freedom. Inside Patreon, you get deeper, unfiltered breakdowns on money, discipline, power, and psychological leverage, so you can build a private operating system stronger than emotion. This is not for men looking for comfort. It is for men who are done being managed. The decision is yours, but a plan alone is not enough. Because most men create plans that still pay the system first. They budget honestly, then leave themselves nothing. They manage their own obedience more efficiently. So the next rule is colder. Do not save what is left. What is left will usually be nothing. Rule 2. Pay your escape first. The first slice of your income reveals who you serve. If your future gets paid last, your future is not your priority, it is your fantasy. Most men say they want freedom, but their money says they want comfort, convenience, and approval. And money does not listen to speeches. Money reveals command. Why do ordinary men sometimes become millionaires, while more ambitious men stay trapped? Not because they are more inspired, not because they wake up every day feeling powerful, because they build systems that act even when their emotions fail. Fidelity's second quarter 2025 retirement analysis found that 401k created millionaires reached 595,000. Total average 401k savings rates were 14.2%, close to Fidelity's suggested 15% savings rate. Fidelity also reported that only 5.5% of retirement savers changed their 401k asset allocation during that quarter, despite turbulence. That is the lesson. Not hype, not motivation, automated discipline. The men who build wealth do not rely on heroic emotions every month. They remove the decision from the battlefield. The millionaire was not more emotional than you. He was less negotiable. His system moved before his mood could interfere. If you pay your future last, your weakness will spend first. This is why unsupported men must stop trusting mood. Mood is not a financial strategy. Mood changes when you are tired. Mood changes when your friends invite you out. Mood changes when you feel behind. Mood changes when you want to prove you are not broke. Mood changes when loneliness starts negotiating with your wallet. Machiavelli wrote, "A ruler who relies entirely on fortune is ruined when it changes." The man who says, "I will save when things get better," is relying on fortune. He is waiting for conditions to become kind. Machiavelli would call that weakness. Fortune changes. The rent increases. The car breaks. The job becomes unstable. The body gets tired. The economy shifts. The people who promise support disappear. If your financial system only works when life is easy, it is not a system. It is decoration. The unsupported man has no rich uncle coming, no family safety net, no powerful network opening doors, no emergency rescue committee. That sounds brutal. Good. Because brutality reveals the correct strategy. You cannot afford to build your life around leftover money. Leftover money is what remains after the market has seduced your weaker self, and your weaker self is a poor treasurer. This is where most men lose. They say, "I will save after I pay everything." But everything includes the small leaks they refuse to confront. The coffee they do not count. The food delivery they justify. The subscription they forgot. The status purchase they call self-respect. The weekend spending they call balance. The impulse buy they call a reward. And then they reach the end of the month with nothing but explanations. Machiavelli did not respect explanations. He respected results. Paying your escape first means the first money moved from your income must go toward future power. Savings, debt destruction, investing, skill acquisition, tools that increase earning capacity, a cash reserve, anything that makes you less dependent. You do not wait to see what remains. You decide what must be protected. A prince protects the fortress before he decorates the palace. A man protects freedom before he purchases comfort. Machiavelli wrote in The Art of War, "Men, steel, money, and bread are the sinews of war, but of these four, the first two are more necessary. For men and steel find money and bread, but money and bread do not find men and steel." Do not reduce this to military history. The principle is deeper. Money alone is not enough. The disciplined man matters more. Skill matters more. Capacity matters more. A weak man with money loses it. A disciplined man with skill can rebuild it. So when you pay your escape first, you are not merely saving cash. You are funding the man who can command cash. The poor man pays everyone else first and calls what remains his life. The strategic man pays his future first and forces his lifestyle to obey what remains. That is the reversal. You do not build freedom by hoping your expenses become merciful. You build freedom by making your future non-negotiable. Pay your escape before your weakness gets a vote. But there is one enemy that can destroy this entire system. It looks like help. It speaks like opportunity. It arrives as relief. But in Machiavellian terms, it is a chain. Debt. And debt is obedience. Debt does not just take your money. Debt takes your options. A man in debt cannot negotiate freely. He cannot walk away freely. He cannot risk freely. He cannot endure pressure freely. He must keep feeding yesterday's decisions with tomorrow's labor. That is not sophistication. That is tribute. Rule 3. Debt is obedience. Why does debt feel normal? Because the system has learned to rename obedience as lifestyle. A car payment becomes reliability. A credit card balance becomes flexibility. A loan becomes opportunity. Monthly payments become adult life. But Machiavelli would look beneath the language. He would not ask what the salesman called it. He would not ask how normal it looks. He would not ask whether other men are doing the same thing. He would ask one question: who gains power over you because of this obligation? That is the only serious question. Debt weakens your ability to say no, and the ability to say no is one of the foundations of power. No to a disrespectful boss, no to a bad job, no to a manipulative relationship, no to a desperate opportunity, no to a city that drains you, no to people who use your financial weakness as leverage. Without money, your no becomes fragile. With debt, your no becomes expensive. Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved." Do not apply this foolishly. This does not mean terrorize people. This does not mean become cruel for entertainment. It means power is safer when it rests on something stronger than affection. In personal finance, love is your hope that people will treat you well. Fear is their knowledge that you have options. A man with options is treated differently. A man with no options must hope for kindness. Hope is not power. Imagine two men in the same workplace. Both are competent, both are tired, both know the company underpays them. The first man has credit card debt, a car loan, no savings, and rent due in 2 weeks. The second man has 6 months of expenses saved, no consumer debt, and a skill he can sell elsewhere. They may have the same job title, but they do not have the same power. The first man negotiates from fear. The second negotiates from position. The first man must be careful not to offend the system. The second man can evaluate the system. That is the difference between being employed and being captured. Machiavelli wrote, "He who causes another to become powerful ruins himself." Debt does exactly this. When you borrow to consume, you strengthen the creditor and weaken the future self who must repay. You make another power more powerful through your own appetite. This is not moral language, it is structural language. Debt transfers command. The cold truth is this: debt is not always evil. Used strategically, debt can finance assets, education, production, or business capacity. But consumer debt used to purchase status, convenience, or emotional relief is obedience disguised as choice. A Machiavellian man asks, does this debt increase my future command, or does it merely rent me an appearance? If it buys an asset that can produce, protect, or multiply power, examine it carefully. If it buys applause, comfort, or the illusion of rank, distrust it. The man who borrows to look powerful becomes weaker in reality. And reality always collects. Debt that does not create power creates obedience. You are not bad with money because you carry debt. That language is too soft. You are carrying claims against your future, and the unsupported man cannot afford too many claims against his future because no one else is underwriting his risk. Every debt payment is a soldier missing from your army. Every interest charge is a tax on past weakness. Every minimum payment is proof that yesterday still commands today. A free man kills obligations that make him easier to control. But escaping debt is not enough. A debt-free consumer can still remain a servant. Because if all you do is avoid debt while continuing to buy everything from people who own assets, you remain inside their system. The next rule separates customers from owners. Rule 4. Own assets or remain the customer. Consumers feed the system. Owners collect from it. This is the line most men never cross. They work. They get paid. They consume. They repeat. They spend their lives funding the assets of men they will never meet. The landlord owns the property. The bank owns the interest. The shareholder owns the business. The platform owns the audience. The employer owns the system. And the unsupported man owns receipts. Why do hard-working men stay poor? Because effort alone does not create power. Effort must be converted into ownership. Machiavelli's world was not ruled by good intentions. It was ruled by control of land, armies, offices, alliances, reputation, and resources. Modern life is no different. The forms changed. The law did not. The man who owns nothing must keep asking the owners for access. If you do not own assets, you remain dependent on income. And income alone is fragile. You can lose a job, you can lose clients, you can lose health, you can lose time, you can lose relevance. But ownership changes the game. An asset is anything that can hold or produce value beyond your immediate labor. Skills can be assets. A business can be an asset. Stocks and funds can be assets. Real estate can be an asset. Intellectual property can be an asset. A personal brand can be an asset. A portfolio of proof can be an asset. A network can be an asset when it produces access. The key is not the category. The key is whether it increases your future leverage. One man spends $300 to look successful this weekend. Another man spends $300 on a certification, a sales tool, a portfolio piece, equipment, or a long-term investment. One bought applause. The other bought future leverage. Machiavelli wrote, "Power gained through others is unstable. A paycheck is power through others, useful but unstable. A boss approves it. A company controls it. A company controls it. A market can reduce it. A manager can block it. A recession can threaten it. Assets begin shifting power inward, slowly, quietly, mechanically. Most unsupported men are trained to be good workers, not strategic owners. They are told to be reliable, to be grateful, to keep their head down, to avoid risk, to wait their turn. But waiting your turn inside someone else's structure is not the same as building power. It may be necessary for a season. But if it becomes your whole life, you have mistaken survival for strategy. The story of the Fidelity 401k millionaires matters because most of them did not become wealthy through dramatic motivation. They became wealthy through repeated ownership. Every contribution bought a small piece of productive assets. Every automated deposit moved them slightly from laborer toward owner. Every month, they transferred a piece of their income into a structure that could compound without their direct labor. That is not glamorous. That is why it works. Weak men need money to entertain them. Strategic men need money to recruit more money. If you remain only a consumer, you are not participating in the system. You are feeding it. Your money becomes someone else's revenue. Their revenue becomes their asset. Their asset becomes their power. Their power becomes the reason you must keep buying access. This is why ownership matters. Not because it makes you morally superior, because it changes your position. Machiavelli wrote in The Art of War, "The unarmed rich man is the prize of the poor soldier." This is one of the hardest financial lessons in Machiavelli. Wealth without strength is vulnerable. In modern terms, money without skill is vulnerable. Money without discipline is vulnerable. Money without legal knowledge is vulnerable. Money without emotional control is vulnerable. Money without strategy is vulnerable. So ownership must be paired with capability. The unsupported man must not only own assets, he must become an asset. Stop asking, "What can I buy?" Ask, "What can I own that makes me harder to control?" Stop asking, "How do I look successful?" Ask, "What produces leverage when I am not in the room?" Stop asking, "Can I afford this?" Ask, "Does this purchase make me stronger or easier to harvest?" Consumers buy comfort. Owners buy command. But even ownership is not enough if one emergency can force you to sell at the wrong time. A man without cash reserves is always one crisis away from surrender. So the fifth rule is not exciting. It is better than exciting. It is sovereign. Rule 5. Build a war chest. Emergency money is not boring. Emergency money is the right to say no. No to panic. No to humiliation. No to begging. No to bad jobs. No to desperate decisions. No to people who only gain power when you are cornered. A war chest is not just savings. It is stored defiance. Why does a small emergency destroy so many men? Because they built a lifestyle, not a fortress. Everything looks stable until pressure arrives. Then the truth appears. The car repair exposes the budget. The medical bill exposes the savings. The layoff exposes the dependence. The rent increase exposes the weakness. The family emergency exposes who actually has power. Machiavelli wrote, "Strength must be displayed before it is tested." Financially, this means you do not wait for crisis to become disciplined. You build before the test. Because when the test arrives, it is too late to negotiate with reality. A man without reserves is easy to command. His boss knows he cannot walk away. His landlord knows he must pay. His bank knows he is trapped. His family knows he has no leverage. His fear knows it can steer him. This is why a war chest matters. Not because cash is the highest return asset. Because liquidity is power under pressure. The market rewards long-term ownership. But life punishes men who have no immediate defense. A man with no reserve may be forced to sell investments during a downturn. He may be forced to borrow at high interest. He may be forced to accept disrespect. He may be forced to stay in a place that is destroying him. This is the hidden cost of having no cash. You do not merely lose money, you lose posture. Machiavelli wrote, "Fortune is the arbiter of one half of our actions, but she still leaves us to direct the other half." Fortune means chance, the economy, the layoff, the accident, the emergency, the betrayal, the timing, the market. You do not control all of it. Only fools pretend they do. But Machiavelli never used fortune as an excuse for passivity. He argued that the wise man prepares, so fortune has less room to destroy him. That is the function of a war chest. It does not eliminate chaos. It reduces how much chaos can command you. Your emergency fund is not dead money. It is anti-panic capital. A man who builds savings in silence is no longer one emergency away from obedience. Without reserves, bosses, landlords, and emergencies own pieces of his spine. That is the point. Cash gives your spine time to remain straight. A war chest should do three things. First, protect survival. It covers your necessary expenses when income breaks. Second, protect strategy. It stops you from liquidating long-term assets under short-term pressure. Third, protect dignity. It gives you the power to refuse desperation. For an unsupported man, this is not optional, because no one is coming. And that is not tragedy, it is clarity. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise act early, the foolish act late." The foolish man starts saving after the emergency. The strategic man saves because the emergency is inevitable, not predictable in form, inevitable in existence. A war chest turns crisis from command into inconvenience. If you are the man who is done being financially cornered, stop calling random information progress. You already know money matters, but your real problem is that you have not turned knowledge into a private system. If you keep consuming ideas without building structure, your life will keep being managed by pressure, bills, and other people's timing. Inside Patreon, you get exclusive, unfiltered lessons on financial leverage, emotional discipline, social power, and strategic self-command, so you can stop reacting and start governing your life. This is not for spectators. It is for men building with no rescue coming. The decision is yours. Now the 5 rules are visible. But if you treat them as tips, you will fail. These are not tips. They are a government, a financial state, a command structure. Money is not about looking rich. Money is about becoming harder to control. That is the whole doctrine. A broke man can be talented and still trapped. A skilled man can be underpaid and still dependent. A hard-working man can be respected and still replaceable. A good man can be loyal and still financially exposed. Machiavelli would not ask whether you are good. He would ask whether you are positioned. What does it mean to be positioned? It means your life is not held together by the mercy of one employer, one paycheck, one relationship, one approval source, or one fragile month. It means your money has orders. It means your future gets paid first. It means debt is treated as a chain unless it creates power. It means ownership replaces consumption. It means reserves protect your ability to refuse. This is the financial version of Machiavellian realism. Not cruelty, not greed, not obsession. Command. If you do not understand this, you will confuse income with freedom. You will earn more and still stay trapped. You will upgrade your lifestyle and call it progress. You will impress people who do not care about you. You will borrow to look stable while becoming more fragile. You will work harder while gaining no leverage. You will become useful to everyone except your future self. And one day you will realize the system did not defeat you violently. It defeated you monthly, quietly, automatically, politely. Machiavelli's world was built on appearances, fear, necessity, fortune, reputation, and power. So is yours. Appearance means people judge your signals before your substance. Fear means institutions behave differently when you have options. Necessity means hunger, rent, debt, and emergencies force obedience. Fortune means chaos punishes the unprepared. Reputation means visible proof matters more than private potential. Power means whoever controls resources controls behavior. That is why money matters. Not because wealth makes you virtuous, it does not. Not because rich men are better, they are not. Money matters because a man without financial leverage is easier to pressure, easier to silence, easier to replace, easier to shame, and easier to command. The unsupported man's financial doctrine is this: plan before impulse, escape before comfort, kill debt before it commands you, own assets before you decorate your life, build reserves before crisis tests your spine. This is not self-help. This is statecraft applied to the self. You are the state. Your income is the treasury. Your attention is the border. Your discipline is the army. Your savings are the fortress. Your assets are the territory. Your debt is the foreign power inside the gates. Your impulses are corrupt officials. Your future is the kingdom under construction. And if you do not govern it, someone else will. You are not unsupported. You are unowned. But only if you build like it. No support means no one gets credit. No safety net means no one gets to claim your rise. No applause means no one can tax your identity with approval. No rescue means no one can later say you survived because of them. But this only becomes power if you stop waiting for permission. Machiavelli did not write for men who needed comfort. He wrote for men who needed to see the machinery beneath human behavior. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Money is not the goal. Money is the instrument. The goal is command. Command of your time. Command of your options. Command of your emotions. Command of your future. Command of the conditions under which other people are allowed to access you. So stop asking for support. Build financial leverage. Stop trying to look rich, become hard to control. Stop explaining why life was unfair. Make your money obey, because the system does not need you broken, it only needs you predictable. And the unsupported man becomes dangerous the moment he stops being predictable. If you are done being managed by systems that profit from your weakness, join this channel and go deeper inside Patreon. This space is for men building with no support, no network, and no one coming to save them. Not motivation, exposure, not comfort, execution. Study Machiavelli, study money, study power. Then build quietly until your freedom is no longer a theory. No support, no network, no excuses. Build anyway.